Lou, how are today's athletes different to communicate with and deal with than when you started way back when?
I haven't felt that they're any different. I think the major thing that has changed is the shape that the players are in today. The way they take care of themselves on and off the ice, the preparation during the summer. Certainly in all sports, it has to do with the more longevity you have, the better it is for your salaries, for the money end of it. The money is different than it is, was in the past. And I think that the players understand that. Representatives, they have now skating coaches in the summer, skill coaches. There's so much that has changed. Before they came to training camp to get in shape. And now with the new collective bargaining agreement, they've adjusted to that too. I mean, training camp is going to be shorter than ever next year. So I think the athletes have changed in how they take care of themselves. And I think off the ice, social media has helped that because they have to be careful where they go, what they do, and how they do it. So a combination of both, they're in better shape, almost to the point where I think that a lot of injuries are coming because they're in such good shape with low body fats that there's no resilience in them.
Hold on, you think social media is good, Lou?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think you know that. So
no, but I was surprised to hear you say social media has helped the players.
No, I think what has happened is that it's sort of restrained them from anything that might have been able to been done behind the scenes and taking care of themselves. There's no place they can go without somebody having a phone on or somebody looking at them, and as a result, they're in better shape and taking care of themselves. And that's no disrespect. There's nothing wrong with what I'm saying. I just think that they've had an effect.
Do you have a social media account?
No. No, will I?
I didn't see his Snapchat or TikTok, but I thought there might be a Twitter or Facebook in there.
Lou on TikTok would be great.
Darren, you really wanted to get a smile out of John, didn't you?
What do you think? You brought up training camp. How about the relaxed dress code?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm really in favor of that. But, it's times have changed. It's still up to the individual players. And I know of some players who will always dress a certain way. I can remember, when Johnny Boychuk came to us in Long Island, and we relaxed. Every year you relaxed it. I certainly have. Over the years, you change. And John, I remember saying to me, Lou, I will never not, go with a jacket and tie ever as long as I'm in the game. That's something that he felt was important as far as how he felt about himself. I'm sure John won't mind me saying that. But so it's just an example. You're still going to have the people who want to. And I think you see that in other sports too. But I don't have any problem with the relaxing. It's just the times we're in.
The one thing that you always had was you, and I remember talking to your Devils players about this. Your rapport with players was exceptional. How did you manage between the personal and professional side of the guys that played for you?
Well, I think, John, that goes back to my college days with that. And I've always said this in the first meeting I had in college with the players was I put a triangle on the board. And that triangle had 3 words: person, player, and student. And I said that no matter how long you stayed in school, if it was 1 year, 2 year, 3 or 4, and left to go play pro or whatever, you would this meeting, you'd hear it that number of years, and that was it. And and what I meant by that is that if I were having a conversation, with one of the student athletes about hockey, I would never bring in off the ice or their academics. I would focus only on what the thought was. In other words, I wouldn't bring him in and talk about hockey that he wasn't playing well and then saying your studies are bad too. Mm-hmm. I'd focus on that. And when I left college, when I went to pro, it was the person and the player. So I never overlapped any of those conversations in any way whatsoever. So when they were in my office and we were talking about, how they were playing or if they had any questions about hockey, never brought anything else up whatsoever. And vice versa, that if there was a family problem or anything, or we're getting on the bus, or you don't not say good morning, or you don't talk to them of how are your children. Always separated that, and to this day, I'm a believer in that. And you try and get your coaches to think that way. You try and get everybody to think that way because they are two different people in one in professional sports.
But the reality is you helped a lot of guys away from the game, and I know you don't like talking about it because it's personal for them too. But there was a role that you played in it for a lot of players.
Well, I think that's part of my responsibility. They made a commitment to, give everything they had, and made decisions for all the reasons. And I think that it's a two-way street. And to this day, the communication I have with a lot of the past players will never leave whatsoever, whether they were traded and whether we brought them back, no matter what. That's the one thing in my mind is more important than anything, that end of it. And I think a compliment that can be given to any athlete, is that, yes, he's a great player, but he's even a better person. Mm. And I think that part of the game is something we should never lose because we're dealing with people with a lot of different problems that transpire. And yes, I believe in it being confidential because you do it for the right reasons, not for any type of exposure or publicity or anything socially.
Have you ever reached out to a player because all the hundreds of thousands of decisions you've made and said, hey, I'm sorry, I should have given you a longer look or a better chance? Have you ever had that conversation with one of your players from the past?
Sure. Absolutely. And it's more to help him that it might not have been all on him. And maybe we didn't give him that. And that, in other words, go forward. Don't take any disappointment or anything that you felt was all your fault. A lot is on us sometimes. Absolutely. And sometimes we bring players up too soon. Sometimes maybe a little late. And I've always said if you have that choice, you do it a little late because the longevity of their career will be a lot better than too soon.
Can you compare and contrast being a manager in Canada versus being one with two American teams?
No, I thought it was the same.
You did?
I had no issues. And maybe because, John, of my relationship with the media and the years in New Jersey, we had tremendous success, we were in the playoffs all the time, the Stanley Cup runs. And so all the media were there. So there was some type of an association. But that did not affect me because I can sit right here and say that I've never given anything or said anything off the record whatsoever. And I think that's where individuals or managers and coaches get in trouble is when they try and, do something a way to think that it might come back in a positive way later. So I feel very comfortable sitting here. And John, you and I have had those conversations many times. So no,
and you never say a darn thing. You never say a darn thing, Lou.
Thanks, John. But no, I didn't find it any different. I enjoyed Toronto in every way whatsoever. And if I didn't go to the island, I had the similar situation, after the 3 years in Toronto to stay on in the same capacity I am right now. That was part of the agreement when I went there. So it's, so no, I had no issues.
Is the fishbowl in Toronto a hindrance, though?
I don't think so. I think it's a great atmosphere. It's pure hockey in every way whatsoever. And I don't think Toronto is for every person or any player. Just like I can say that college hockey isn't for every young hockey player, and junior hockey isn't. It depends upon the individual. And I found that out in, like Montreal. I traded for many players who played in Montreal who had talent, but it didn't seem to fit there, whether it was the pressure there. You bring them to New Jersey, they handle it a little different. So you have to look at the individuals who you get involved with that type of an atmosphere. Same thing, the Yankees, Yankee Stadium. There aren't many baseball players who sometimes can survive in that, only because of the media pressure and exposure where you're expected to win. And what greater atmosphere is there to be part of being expected to win?